honoris being by the name of Rolan Gulston. She's in media and communications at C.A.S.T, and it's an absolute honor to have her. We did have an interview before, and it didn't turn out as the best we wanted to, so we decided to do it again. Fortunately, we couldn't meet face to face due to the weather, but here we are. Rolan, what's up?
Hey, hi everyone.
Yeah, man. I think as before, I'd love to just dive into, just once again, just breaking down who you are and, just your background and how you grew up.
Cool. Well, thanks, Lutwe, for having me again. I'm a big fan of your show. Basically, I'm from Durban. I work at C.A.S.T, which is a local NPO that's in community development through partnering with churches around KZN. I studied media and communications, so this is very much my area. I love being able to use these platforms to actually help people. It's not just about superficial media stuff. You're actually using various forms of media to actually reach people in a meaningful way and to help them progress in life. So I'm really enjoying that role. I grew up in Durban. My family is quite, I wouldn't say multicultural, but definitely we have different origins. We have, different ancestry coming from different places. So I've never really wanted to label myself as one particular thing. I'm open to learning about other cultures. I'm open to experiencing different things, and I was fortunate to go to good schools and got a good education, which really exposed me to a lot of things. And so it's just about trying to use those opportunities to actually give back and do something meaningful. I
think those are very profound words. So I remember in our previous interview we touched on your journey from university into that space of limbo, not being able to find a job in that regard. Could you talk to us a bit about that and that transition was for you and how the opportunity came about, the role that you're in now at C.A.S.T?
Okay, so I graduated in 2013, and it was hard to find a job. It doesn't just happen. It doesn't involve some people, but for me, maybe because of what I studied, it was quite broad, and people hadn't fully the industry wasn't as developed as it is now. So it was it was just you become a journalist or you go into advertising, that kind of thing. There wasn't all these new kind of now I can call myself a content creator, and that probably didn't exist that at that time. So after varsity I applied to different publishing houses. It was a very frustrating experience applying and thinking that you've got the qualification to get the job, but unfortunately there's thousands of others who have the same qualification and are not also finding work. So it took a few years, and in that time I was really lucky to have a friend who was working at the organization where I am at the moment, and she invited me to volunteer because a lot of their programs are run by volunteers who just generously commit their time and their energy to helping. And so I did. What really drew me to volunteering is that she mentioned that there are children at a school where C.A.S.T works, at Addington Primary School. There are kids who have come from other African countries and they're here as refugees, and they can barely speak English. Even though they've been pushed up to like grade 2, 3, 4, they can still struggle with the basics. And she said that they can speak French, though. That is like one of their native languages. And I had studied French at varsity as an elective subject. So she was like, maybe you can come and help them. And so I came, and I was a bit nervous because I hadn't really taught children before. I didn't have much experience in it, but you don't need it. When you go there, the kids just are so open, and they just accept you straight away. And they're just so eager to, they're just so eager to connect, and just having that like one-on-one time with a child, it also just, it makes them feel like they are being seen, because in that kind of school, the classes are just, they're packed. There's probably about 40 to 50 kids in a class, and I don't know how many classes per grade. So it's almost impossible for the teachers to help each kid individually. So this is the time where they really get to like connect with their educator and actually develop. So I just used whatever I had, whatever skills I had. I had studied English, literature, so I had a fairly good grasp of like grammar and stuff. So I could help them with that. And just hearing their stories and just spending that time was just very enriching for me. So I think I volunteered for about 2 years, and 2 to 3 years. And in between that time, I did manage to get an online internship for writing for an online publication, where I actually got the opportunity to go out and interview people in Durban, and just write these pieces on like how the grassroots economy is developing, from the guy who does the rickshaw to like other things. And it was just basically to let people know what's happening in Durban, like real stories. So I really enjoyed that. But it was only a 6-month internship, and it didn't pay. So I just took it as experience, like I'm gaining experience, and it has helped me now in my current job. While I was volunteering,
same time. Sorry about that. This was during the time that you were also working, at the refugee school at the same time.
It was actually my volunteering was staggered. So I volunteered for a year, and then the next year I didn't volunteer, and I did the internship, and the year after continued volunteering. So it was after that, it was my second time volunteering, where I was recommended for an internship at C.A.S.T. So I joined C.A.S.T as a official employee in 2016. And I started out just doing like general admin stuff, and then I slowly started getting into the media side of things and learning how it's done. Because at varsity, you learn theory, you learn like how the media should appear, but they don't really teach you the practical skills or the application of it. So it's been a real learning experience, and I've grown so much in that area, just being able to know exactly how to tell stories in a way that will touch people, and that how to actually motivate people to give. It's a big thing. So
Jeez. And I wanted to touch on this. Always popped into my mind. When we the first interview that we had, and you were talking about your experience as a Catholic, and that process. There was a particular process that you talked about that was mind to me. Could you just start off and talk about the roots and your journey and becoming a Catholic, and just expand that? Yeah.
Okay. So I was born into a Catholic family. My parents and grandparents were Catholics, so I was baptized as a baby and grew up going to church every Sunday, and my family was very involved in the church. But as I got a bit older, towards my teenage years, I guess I just didn't really understand the Catholic Mass. There's a set of rituals that happen, and if you don't know what's going on, it's very confusing, and you kind of, you don't connect with it. So I kind of drifted away from the faith during my teen years, and I prioritized other things. And I was literally only going to church at like Christmas and Easter, when a lot of people go. And that was it. But as I got a bit older, in my early 20s, I think that's when you start becoming more conscious. And I started asking questions about life and about faith, and I would often irritate my mom and my grandpa with all these questions and debates that I had about the Catholic faith and just faith in general, and they would get frustrated with me. And eventually, my mom told me about this new group that was going to be starting a church for young adults, like a faith-sharing cell group kind of thing. And she was like, "Why don't you just go and see how it is? What's the worst that could happen?" So I went, and I was super nervous because obviously, I hadn't been going to church. I didn't want them to think I'm like some kind of heathen person coming and corrupting, the group. But it was actually really cool. I met some friends that I knew back at school. So that was immediately made me feel more comfortable, just seeing familiar faces, but also meeting new people that were very welcoming. And I didn't feel judged. I felt like they weren't forcing me to become more involved. They just gently encouraged me, and it worked because I started going to the Sunday masses, and during the faith sharing, we would learn about the different aspects of the faith. And so it really opened my eyes, and I was like, oh, that's what that is. That's why they do that. So when I went to the Mass after attending these sessions, I understood it for the first time in my life. I understood why everything happens, and it was like I was going to church for the first time. And it was beautiful. So after about a year of attending those faith-sharing sessions, I decided to fully commit myself to becoming a member of the church. And you go through a process. It's catechism, which normally happens when you're in your teens. Happens for about maybe 5 years. So it's in your teens, it's like a nice build-up. But now, because I was doing it as a young adult, it's condensed to a year. So you literally attend classes every week, and you learn more about the faith, about the history, the context of the Bible. You learn about all these rules that come with being a Christian that some people are not aware of. Like, there are rules. So you know what you're getting into. And even after attending that year of catechism, you have an option of, do I want to go further, or do I want to step back, not knowing what it's about now? So after that year of catechism, you are encouraged to discern, and once you are fully
discerning. What do you mean by discern?
Yeah.
Because I have an idea. Because I'm very much on the spiritual front. But could you explain what does it discern mean?
Discern means just to think on something and just to listen to what your heart is telling you. Discern means to use your wisdom, to use your experience to make the best decision, and just to do what you feel is right, what you know inside. Yeah. So I discerned, and then I made the decision to become confirmed into the Catholic Church. So once that happens, you're a fully fledged member. Although they tell you this is only the beginning of your journey; it's not the end. Because it happens so many times with Catholic teens where they go through these 5 years of catechism, they get confirmed when they're 17, and they feel like, okay, I've crossed the finish line. I don't have to go to church anymore just to please my parents. So they kind of drift away after that. But they said, getting confirmed is only the start. It doesn't mean that you've now finished something, Yeah, and it was really the start, and it was tough. In that first year that after I got confirmed, I was like, wow, because I was so used to going to those weekly classes and learning about the faith and connecting with others, and then once you get confirmed, that kind of comes to an end, and now it's up to you to continue that in your personal capacity, to keep learning and keep growing and keep practicing your faith without, depending on a priest or a church leader to be lecturing you about it every week. So it's a challenge. It still is. Even though I do work at a Christian organization now, they are not Catholic. They're mostly evangelist, those super charismatic kind of people that they come from that kind of background. So there is a huge contrast between that and the faith.
So let's talk about that.
It's very,
I'm saying that let's talk about that, the charismatic part and the contrast and what you've seen, because I've got a lot to say about church, especially within African communities, but I want to hear your take on the contrast and the disconnect between understandings and practices and procedures within such spaces. Could you just talk a bit about that today?
Okay. Yeah. I still struggle with that today, because often you hear someone preaching, but they don't always have the foundation, or they don't fully. They preach, but it's according to their own interpretation of scripture, which I really have a problem with, because I don't think the scripture is open to interpretation. As far as we've been taught in Catholicism, we've been taught that there is a context to the scripture. It was written in a specific time, in a specific place, and for this purpose. And you have to understand that in order to understand the meaning. And I feel like nowadays, especially in the charismatic church, where it's very open, different interpretations fly around, and sometimes people are interpreting it in a way that kind of suits their own agenda, And that's, for me, it's not the way it should be done. And I feel like you should always go back to what did the original scripture say? Who wrote it? Why did they write it? What kind of time were they writing it in? And yes, that like we can learn so much from scripture. It can definitely be applied to our lives, but it can't be like we are kind of adapting it to suit our lives. It can't be. I don't think it can be modernized to just fit into what we want to do with our lives. We have to respect the original. We have to respect the traditions that come with it. We have to respect that Jesus, he wasn't just a person who was like free and open to anything. No, he was like, this is how things should be done. This is the prayer that you must pray. He gave us the Lord's Prayer, the Our Father, and he was like, you don't just say your own prayer. This is the words that you should say. This is how you should, even when he at the Last Supper, he has a specific order of how he did things. He had a specific ritual, and he said, do this in memory of me. So we have to keep honoring that and keep practicing that in order to be able to call ourselves Christian. I think we can't just change it up or just turn it into our own thing. We have to respect how it was passed down to us. So that's a huge difference. People, I feel like charismatic people kind of look at Catholic people as being too reserved and too stuck in rituals, and maybe they don't actually understand how those rituals came about, or they don't understand the significance of why we do certain things. So it's more just a case of misunderstanding, maybe. Because I fully believe that if anyone prays to Jesus, I know that it's coming from a good place. It's not so much that I feel like I don't think less of the charismatic faith. It's just different. It's just a different way of doing things. But I do definitely feel like maybe there needs to be a stronger foundation, stronger doctrinal knowledge.
I couldn't have said it better. I really couldn't have in that regard. So let's go back to C.A.S.T. And let's talk about giving beyond charity. So let's talk about what does that entail and what does that mean to you personally and within the organization.
Okay. Yeah, so you just said it, the whole slogan, or the thing of C.A.S.T is that we don't want to just be another charity that gives and then kind of leaves people. We want to develop people. We want to move beyond charity. We want to actually impact people in the long term. Yes, C.A.S.T does offer emergency relief to people who are desperate, and we give them food and clothing and whatever they need at the time. But from those people that we try and encourage them to join our other programs as well, whether it's to develop some business skills, or if it's a young person to join the youth program where they learn life skills and they connect with other people their age through sports, and just to help keep them off the streets and keep them engaged. And if it's a child, we try and help them through education. Like I mentioned before, the program we did where it can be as simple as just helping them with their homework or helping them understand some essential skills. So we really try and develop people holistically and develop families holistically, not just individuals, but we want to actually help entire families get out of poverty. And we believe it's possible just by being compassionate to people, not necessarily giving of material things, but giving of time, giving of knowledge, and giving of our expertise on things. yeah, so that's the whole thing. Yeah, that's the idea behind C.A.S.T. And for me, as I mentioned before, my role is to basically go or communicate the stories of the people that we're helping, and take those stories and tell people who are in a place or in a position to give, that there are people less fortunate who do need help, and this is how you can impact their life, in the long term. Yeah, and it's, yeah. So, yeah, for me, C.A.S.T is like the perfect model. It's what we need nowadays. We don't just want superficial giving or one-time giving. We want to actually to better people. Yeah. So
let's expand upon that. Let's expand upon this giving part in terms of the lockdown and how that's affected C.A.S.T and how you guys had to move and help people within these limitations.
Yeah. Well, the immediate need that we identified was food. Food insecurity, like with people not being able to work, especially those who just had the part-time piece jobs. They had no source of income during lockdown. So the immediate thought was, let's provide food, as much food as we can to sustain families. Even if it's just for a couple of weeks, it's helping them in some way. And then we tried to, because at the same time, our other programs had to come to a screeching halt because they involved gatherings, and we weren't allowed to do that during lockdown level 5. So we had to explore other ways of reaching people, which was not always easy because a lot of people in these townships and rural areas, they don't have smartphones, they don't have data. So online wasn't even an option for some of them. Unfortunately, we had to just wait it out until the restrictions eased, and then we could slowly start resuming those gatherings in a small way, or just start reconnecting with people. It was tough. It was very tough. And but the people that we did help were so grateful. They said it's made such a difference, just knowing that even for that couple of weeks, they don't have to worry about food, that they can try and think of other things to do that might, help support their families. So that was, it was really cool. And it has, we have been looking at other ways of connecting with people. We don't know what the future holds with COVID. It might get better, it might get worse. We don't know at the moment. So we have to start considering other ways of reaching these people without physically being with them. Yeah, it's just a reality.
Yeah. Oh man. Jeez. So I think that's we've gone through a lot. We really have. And it's over 20 minutes. It's 28 minutes and some change. But just kind of like to end off, before we give the handles, what advice would you give to young persons going along their journey, just in your capacity? What would you like to say to them?
Just always hold on to hope. Hope is the only thing that's going to keep you going, even during the tough times. Just always hold on to hope that things will get better, and just keep doing your best in whatever you do. Don't be discouraged. Just know that it is taking you somewhere, and people will see it, and God will always see it. So just work hard in faith, knowing that it will pay off. Just stay strong. Do what you know is right, even when it's difficult. Never stop learning. Always try and be conscious of how you treat people. Be conscious of how you yourself are thinking and behaving. Learn more about yourself. Learn as much about yourself as you can. It's the only way to improve and develop. And yeah, be wise. Think about things before you do them. Think about things before you say them. Have a vision. Have some kind of goal for your life. It doesn't have to be a grand vision. Just have a vision of, what do I want to accomplish today? What do I want to accomplish tomorrow? Kind of thing. And from there, build on that. And yeah, just stay focused. Yeah.
I think that's that's phenomenal. Yeah, could you please just tell us the handles of C.A.S.T, and then your handles where you would like persons who would want to personally follow you?
Okay. So first, it's usually C.A.S.T, C-A-S-T _NGO. And we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube. We're going to be on TikTok soon. I'm very excited about that.
Joining me.
Yeah, you got to move with the times. Yeah. Yeah, and for me personally, I'm also on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and YouTube, although I think nowadays I'm most active on Pinterest. Just for personal reasons. Sometimes I feel anxiety when I don't know. Instagram sometimes gives me anxiety, so I like I'm a Pinterest girl nowadays. Yeah.
You didn't give your handles.
Oh, sorry. It's Rolan, ROLAN .Astrid, ASTRID. That's me on Instagram. That's on Pinterest. And on Facebook, you'll just find me by my full name, Rolan Gulston.
Awesome. This has been an awesome interview, and I'm so glad. I'm just thankful that we actually got to do this again, because I myself learned so much from you. The first time we met, and completely, because I'm a consumer of information, and I love just sharing perspectives and just processing it in that way. So thank you so much.
No, thank you so much.
Yeah. And to the persons watching the interview, please do like, subscribe, and comment at The Reality Shift SA and at Litswe Mboto on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. So, yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you guys enjoyed this particular interview. And yeah.